Welcome to the Clan Mackenzie podcast.
Before we roll the interview with Sport Kilt founder James Ansite, here's a quick perk for listeners of the Clan Mackenzie podcast. You can now save 10% on anything on sportkilt.com. Kilts, tartans, sashes, accessories, pins, sporrans, you name it. Just enter the promo code CLANMAC, one word, at checkout. Huge thanks to Sport Kilt for supporting our show. Now, on to our interview with James Ansite. Glad to have you in with us for the Clan Mackenzie podcast. This week we have the founder of Sport Kilt himself, James Ansite. Welcome to the podcast.
Hi, thanks for having me along. This is great.
Awesome. It's good to have you. Probably a lot of people are very familiar with your work with Sport Kilt and all that it provides. Maybe they've not got a chance to know about you, but you've been doing this for quite a while now.
Yeah, almost 30 years. I can't believe it's, one of the main things I do, but yeah, going strong for 30 years. I can't believe it, but appetite for kilts is still there and people love our brand.
That's fantastic. So tell us a little bit about sort of how you got started in this goal of making a casual kilt become a reality.
Sure. Well, it wasn't really my goal to, start the casual kilt revolution in America. I just was a teenager and I thought it would be really cool to have a kilt and didn't want to pay hundreds of dollars and wait months to get one. So I asked my dad and we teamed up and we made one. And we used my grandma's sewing machine, and the ping pong table was our cutting table. And I wore it around, and my friends thought it was cool. So we made a few more. And then we got picked up by a cycling catalog in the 90s because I was racing bikes and I was using it as a way to change out of my bike shorts after a ride or a race. And so it was popular with cyclists. And then Braveheart came out, and the interest in kilts spiked in America. And we were the first kilt company with a website in 96. And it was just right place, right time with a cool product. And then I discovered these Highland games that happen everywhere every weekend. And so I did that circuit for a couple years, mostly on the West Coast. And people loved our product, and we ended up meeting people that just did that, professionally, and went around to festivals so that, I could focus on selling kilts on the website during the week, and then they could sell them on the weekends. And it's been great. The best thing about the business is that I learned something from my customers almost every day about the history of, the Celts or Scotland. And it's really exciting to learn that stuff.
So you didn't start with like having that in mind, like you wanted to do something to represent your heritage or something. It was just like, hey, I love kilts. They're awesome.
Yeah, I thought it would be kind of punk rock and rebellious to wear a kilt. And, it could have been from watching Axl Rose on the MTV Music Awards, or, Rowdy Roddy Piper back in the
Oh
day.
yeah.
I just thought it was cool. And it turns out I do have Scottish heritage on both sides of my family. I didn't know it at the time. And I also didn't know that so many Americans have Scottish or Irish ancestry. I think like 25 of our presidents were of Scottish descent. And, names that are common in America, like Buchanan and Armstrong, are, Scottish names. I had no idea at the time that America had such deep roots with Scotland.
Yeah, I guess even Trump, right? I guess they're saying he's got
Yeah,
Scottish
there is a
roots. Okay. So, I mean, how does it start? So you did your own. Did you do a tartan on your first kilt? Was it?
No, it was just a plaid flannel that my dad found. That was actually a pretty cool one. I think we have the very first sport kilt somewhere,
Oh, really?
but it wasn't a tartan, and I didn't even know about tartans at the time. This has been an educational process for me along the
Yeah.
whole journey, learning about the clan history and tartans. And to this day, I still learn tidbits every day from people. So it's been great. But yeah, I just wanted a kilt, and the first one was green. I had no idea that there were hunting tartan versions and, ancient versions and all those things. I just wanted one, and so did a lot of people, turns out.
Yeah. So you put your site up, and yeah, internet's still kind of fresh, like in the mid to late 90s. How did you go about getting tartans for your product? Like, I'm gonna make these these cool casual kilts. How do I get authorization to use a tartan or a pattern or whatever? How'd that work for you?
There wasn't any tartan. I don't think the Scottish Tartan Authority existed back then.
Okay.
Uh, and a lot of them have just been in production for so long that the Wallace tartan anyone can use pretty much. So started off, we made up the names for our first few tartans, and they weren't even tartans. We didn't even know. We just gave them funny names like the Braveheart and the Irish Revenge and the
Awesome.
Irisher, the Garrison. So we just made stuff up. And then people would tell us what they want, be like, "Hey, we're Clan Armstrong. We guys got to get our tartan because we're a big clan." I'm like, "Okay, all right, sounds good." So we eventually added up to, I think we have about 80 now. We've had up to 100 at times, and now we work with the House of Edgar in Scotland. If someone needs a McAllister or something that we don't carry, we can order some yardage from them and make them a nice wool kilt as
Yeah.
well. But one of the roadblocks we faced early on was from the traditionalists saying, "Oh, that's not a kilt. A kilt is made of 8 yards of wool and it has leather buckles, and this is da 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 da." And you know, fair enough. Whatever, but my opinion was that we've taken a centuries old design, kind of modernized and distilled it, and we use Velcro, which I tell some people, I'm like, yeah, if the ancient Celts had Velcro back in the day, they probably would have used it instead of leather buckles because it's so dang practical. So we definitely got a lot of grief for not being traditional at the time, but that wasn't what we were shooting for. We just wanted something comfortable and practical, which a kilt is when you boil it down to its essentials.
That's a good point. Because yeah, you start putting on all the gear, all the stuff that goes with a big 8 yard kilt. I mean, I'm not gonna say it's not practical to some extent, but it's a lot more work.
And back in the day, I guess the before 200 years ago was when that big book of tartans came out. They would just wear whatever they could find. It wasn't really They weren't really clan specific. 400, 500, 600 years ago, they would just wrap something around, and then that was their outfit. And it wasn't. It was their tent. It was their towel. It was a multi-purpose garment that did a bunch of things. And it wasn't until a couple hundred years ago that the kilt, as we know today, kind of got formalized and stylized. So really, kilts have been around forever, and just about every culture has a like a skirt that men wear. Like the Greeks have one. I forget the name for it, and the Romans had one. Many other cultures had a skirt type thing that men wore. Yeah, it's fascinating. I love learning the history about it and everything else that comes along with the Scottish history. And I have a whole theory about why people in America, especially, gravitate towards kilts. And I didn't know that in Scotland they rent kilts like we rent tuxedos here. I had just assumed for years that every Scotsman had a dozen kilts in his wardrobe, but turns out they just rent them for special occasions, whereas many Americans have several. And my theory on that is that if you're in Scotland and you look around, you see these castles that are 2,000 years old. You're like, "Oh, this is where I come from. That's where my ancestors are from." But here, the oldest building you're likely to see is 200 years old. So people are more inclined to seek out, where am I from? What's my ancestral history, and really get deep into that. And that's why people like kilts in America. It's my theory.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. That's a good point. And that is absolutely true with regards to our history. We just don't have a lot in this country that you can go back to, especially depending where you are. Maybe East Coast a little bit more. West Coast is like a whole new world in the past
Right.
150 years. So when you're doing this or coming up with this design, you got this casual kind of style kilt. Um, how did you decide to not stick with wool? Was it just a practical thing, I guess, in the sense that it's, kind of heavy and bulky? Or what was your kind of your thoughts behind
Yeah,
that?
exactly. I've never personally been a fan of wool. And now I know better now. There are nicer types of wool that feel silky, but if it's not produced right, it can be itchy.
Yeah.
And I guess I always had the bad wool growing up, the wool sweaters for Christmas time that itch. And so I just was like, "No, no, I don't think I want to do that." Um, yeah, there are really nice wools that feel kind of silky and soft against the skin, but they're very expensive. And I always wanted to provide, help people. I'm sure we've helped thousands of people get into the idea of wearing kilts, and they've gone on to buy wool kilts and things like that. But our kilts are great for trying it out. You know, it's $69 for a size large sport kilt, and see if you like it. And to do that, you can't use wool, because we do use about 5 yards of material in every sport kilt. And wool these days is around, from the mill in Scotland, it's, 50 to $75 a yard. So, you're in the $300-400 range right off the bat if you go with wool. And we do that, and we're happy to do it. We do it all the time. But I think for people that want to get into it, or they want to get a kilt as a gift, or they just want a kilt that's darn comfortable for wearing around the house and things like that, our material is great.
Yeah. So what is your material?
It's a poly rayon blend that we have yarn dyed and woven for us. It's about an 8-ounce weight, and it's machine washable, hypoallergenic. It's got an anti-pill finish, and yeah, it's fantastic material. I love it. It holds a pleat really well, has a good swing to it. Doesn't get too hot. We have a lot of customers that own several kilts from different manufacturers, and most of them say sport kilts are their most comfortable ones, which makes me happy, because I'm not trying to have our kilts be the most stylish or the most traditional or the most proper. I just want people to be comfortable and have a good time, because if you enjoy wearing it, you're going to wear it more often. And if it's comfortable and practical and easy to put on, you're going to wear it more days than like you said, it takes, 10, 15 plus minutes to put on the full regalia when you want to do the full on kilt outfit, which is fine. That's great. We support that too.
Yep, that's awesome. So basically, you got a lighter weight material. It's funny, I had a friend that traveled over to America from Scotland, and he was going to do some speaking engagements and things like that, and he was worried about traveling with his stuff, so he ordered a cheaper style kilt on, I think, Amazon or something like that,
Sure.
and he was really happy with it. I'm not going to say that Sport Kilt gets diminished, because obviously you have a great brand, people are super interested, but I think the idea of having a lightweight kilt that's not made of wool is somehow a diminished version of the kilt. It just isn't. I mean, I think the sport kilts are awesome. I mean, they're fantastic and easy to travel too. I mean, you don't have to go through all this stuff, and you don't have to worry about losing an $800 kilt if you have a sport kilt.
Absolutely. That's what I've always said. It's okay to, get tacky if you're competing in the Highland Games, or spill a drink on your sport kilt. It's no big deal. It's not like an heirloom kilt that costs hundreds of dollars and you wore in your wedding or something like that.
Right.
No, it's a kilt that hopefully you get several of. And we also make a kilt called the hiking kilt out of a lightweight microfiber polyester that's printed, that's about 25% lighter. And people run ultra marathons in them. I've gotten photos from customers scuba diving and surfing and doing water sports in them, river raft guiding. So that's another great option for someone that wants one even lighter. And I wear mine every time I go on a hike, because it's a conversation starter. Now, would I wear a wool kilt on a 7-mile hike? No, not at all. But I would definitely wear the hiking kilt just about anywhere. And it's great. We make it about as light as you can before it would blow up in a stiff breeze. So there is a balance we try and strike with the lightness. But we started in Southern California, and I had no need for a heavy wool kilt out there. And a
Yeah.
lot of our customers are in the South, and they just love our kilts. And a lot of people that compete in the Highland Games love our kilts.
Absolutely. I mean, like I said, I think that's fantastic. I was just at a Highland game in October, and it still got to be almost 80 degrees, and I'm wearing a 16-ounce wool kilt. I was like, why am I not wearing my sport kilt today? It was a total mistake on my part. But
Yeah.
absolutely, hiking. I mean, me and my son both wear our kilts when we go hiking every time. It's a
Oh, nice.
fact.
Yeah, isn't that fun? Because people come up to you and they say, "What tartan is that?"
Hmm.
And I think the Americans have gotten smarter and more sophisticated, is the word I'm looking for, as far as tartans and things like that. I think when we started, we had like the Royal Steward and the Black Watch, and that's all people, no one ever asked us for anything specific. And then as the years went by, people asked us for more and more specific tartans, and now we get asked for all sorts of tartan. The one recently we get asked for a lot is the Witches of Scotland tartan. I don't know if you've heard about that one,
I haven't heard about
but
that yet.
it's we get asked for it a lot, but the designer hasn't given us permission to weave her tartan yet. So once she does, we'll make that and satisfy a lot of people that would love to see a sport kilt in the Witches of Scotland tartan.
Cool. That sounds good. I guess we'll have to do some extra research on that, what that looks like. I did notice that you talked about, getting people in the Highland Games, using using the sport kilt and wearing them. Obviously, when you're in 80-degree weather, you don't want to be wearing big wool. And I just saw an athlete named Josh Watkins just set a world record in the sheath toss, and he was wearing a sport kilt, rocking that
Of
out.
course. Yeah, that's great. We love it. We've been a huge supporter of the Highland Games for years. And yeah, a lot of time we just went to Florida last weekend for Highland Games out there, and about 90% of the athletes were wearing sport kilts on the field. So yeah, a lot of records have been broken in sport kilts for sure.
That's awesome. That's got to make you feel good about your little business that designed started on a ping pong table, and now here it is,
That's
everybody
right.
wearing it. That's cool. I noticed too, you're talking about this new potential tartan coming out. You guys been doing some more releases lately. Maybe they come out all the time. Is there like a set period of time or amount of different tartans that you release annually, or how does that work for Sport
It's
Kilt?
just whatever we feel like, really. There's no set schedule. We do have a warehouse where we have thousands of kilts hanging up, and people stop by from time to time. And when we moved to Heber City, Utah in 2019, I thought, who's going to come visit us in Heber City, which is kind of out there on the back of the Wasatch Mountains behind Salt Lake City.
Okay.
And all darn, people come out and visit us all the time. And apparently, there's people in Utah really into their ancestry and genealogy. I didn't know that when we moved here. And um, yeah, it's it's been quite a journey. I like our new location out here a lot. It's been wonderful. People are super nice out here. Southern California is kind of a weird place to start a kilt company, but that's just happened to be where we were and where we started. And um, yeah, but Utah is where we call home now. So you and anyone listening is welcome to stop by our shop. Just give us a ring. Make sure someone will be there to give you a tour.
Oh, fantastic. That's great. I noticed that you guys had a Buchanan Ancient that came out and an Alaskan tartan, even a Space Force tartan on your Instagram account. So how does that work for you guys? Are you designing these tartans, or who's obviously didn't design the
No,
Buchanan
the
Ancient,
Space
but
Force one, I worked with the designer somewhat, and we have all the other branches of the military.
okay.
So it only seemed fair that we offer the Space Force tartan just because we've got all the rest. We have the Coast Guard, Army, Marines, Navy. Um, I might be missing one, but yeah, figured it's the sixth branch that we needed to add to complete our collection, and I actually like it. I think it's a great looking tartan. I like the blues and blacks and the gray in there. I think it's really neat. Um, but yeah, it's really just kind of the squeakiest wheel gets the grease, and the one that we get asked for the most, they'll be like, "All right, that's the one we'll do next." And every time we do a new tartan release, we get pissed off customers like, "What about the Farquharson?" And there's so many Farquharsons out there, and they're like, "All right, we'll add Farquharson to the list." So that's one of our newest ones too.
Cool. So do you have to on these new ones then, or you're registering all these with the Scottish Register of Tartans too then, or how does that work?
No, a lot of them have been in existence for long enough that we don't need to register anything. They're already in existence and they're not copyrighted or anything, so we just reproduce them.
Okay.
We did get in a little legal not altercation, but we got a stern letter from the House of Edgar when we thought it would be uh, good. We thought we could reproduce the Irish County tartans, which I guess were created in the early 2000s. Someone designed these beautiful tartans that represent each of the Irish counties. And we got asked for the county cork a lot. So we're like, oh, we'll reproduce that. And when they came at us with a cease and desist, we designed this tartan in the year 2005 and you're not allowed to do it. And we said, okay, absolutely. Didn't know. Sorry. So I thought that they'd been in existence a lot longer. I didn't realize that they were just, a recent creation, which a lot
Sure.
of tartans are.
Yeah. Now you're working with House of Edgar, so I guess you guys patched it up, right?
Yeah, we do. Yeah, we've patched it up and they're great. Oldest mill in Scotland.
Well, I do want to say with regards to Sport Kill, I mean, like I said, I've used you guys for at least the past 6 years. Recently, and I will mention this, we're trying to find kilt hose for my son. I looked everywhere. Amazon, you name the company in this country, in the United States, couldn't find anybody to help me, but you guys had it. Sport Kilt was able to send me socks for my
Oh,
son.
great.
That was really cool. That was pretty great.
Awesome. Well, that's great. I loved hearing that. We try and outfit the youngsters. We have, baby kilts and youth and toddler and young lad sizes to get the whole clan outfitted for, not a whole lot of money. And my kids have loved them ever since they were little babies because they're Velcro and you can put them on right over the diaper. And my boy he just loves running around in it. He thinks it's great. And so they get to feel like they're little Scottish warriors running around in their kilts. So kids love them.
So have you seen the kilt business really pick up then in recent times? Because you mentioned that when you started in the 90s, it was about Braveheart. Braveheart was really the thing. In a mo sort of modern times, Outlander has been kind of a big thing.
Yeah, that's Outlander has been big. Yeah, I think it's comes and goes in waves. It- I think 2015 it was really popular. Um, Nowadays, I don't know if there's just more kilt companies out there. I know there's a lot of Pakistani companies out there that supply kilt, or they're just selling direct on Amazon now. And the material's not that great. I felt them all, and it just they haven't quite got close to what the material that we have. We had a good one, really good run back in the beginning because there wasn't many other people. It was like us and Utilikilts back in the 90s in America. And then a lot of people jumped on board and saw what we were doing, and now there's quite a few companies out there selling kilts. But we're proud to be one of the originals that started this casual kilt craze in America.
Yeah, it's awesome. Like I said, I'm a big fan, and I think a lot of people, I guess that they see the kilt, they're like, man, I'd love to do that. They don't want to spend $500 because maybe they'll hate it. They probably
Right.
won't, but maybe they will.
Yeah.
Start with a
Never,
sport kilt.
they're not for everyone. It takes a certain amount of courage to wear a kilt. So, that eliminates 80% of the population right there that just does not brave enough to wear a kilt. So, they're for a select breed of person that's brave enough to wear a kilt, especially when you're just out there by yourself. It's one thing if you're part of a pipe band and everyone's wearing one. It's
Sure.
another thing if you're just putting one on and going to a party all by yourself.
Yeah.
It takes some guts. So,
Yeah. I was down in St. Augustine this year, and that's what, everybody's like, tell me about what is this? What are you wearing, a kilt? And a lot of people were like, that's awesome. That's so cool. People are excited actually. A lot of the
oh
people
yeah.
that I've been into.
I've worn some to a kilt to many occasions, but most recently I wore one to a party here in Utah, and no one else was wearing a kilt. And some guy came out of the woodwork and talked to me. He's like, "Man, you guys really helped me. Like my dad died the weekend before, and I needed a kilt in like 2 days, and you guys hooked me up, and were there in the office to measure me and customize my kilt and get it ready in time. And I can't thank you guys enough." And I had no idea that this rent a customer would be there at this party, this celebration party. And so sometimes I feel like I'm celebrity every once in a while, like once in a blue moon, I get this little inkling like, oh, that's cool. People really do like Sport Kilt, and it has done a lot for a lot of people. And not to mention like people that are recovering from surgery and things like that. Um, it's just so because of the Velcro, it's so easy to take on and off.
Good point.
We've had thousands of testimonials from people that are recovering where, whether it's a broken arm or prostate cancer, it's just easy to put on and off, and it actually inspires people that are in the hospital to fight. So that's another really touching thing that our company has done for a lot of people over the years.
I'm glad you shared that. Just your guys' customer service has been great. Every time I've
Oh,
ever called, you guys have been fantastic with that. But
good
yeah,
to
hearing,
hear.
hearing your helping in those situations is really, really nice to hear too.
Yeah, we try and get involved with as many charities and Highland games and events as we can, but we to do that we have to kind of spread ourselves thin and just do what we can. We just do what we can to get involved with as many causes as possible. I know we can't get involved in all of them, but we do our part in the community to make people happy.
Yeah. Going back to your product, I know we're running short on time, but just want to say, like, it's really cool too. A lot of people that maybe have kilts or maybe they haven't, but like some of the things that Sport Kilt does is really nice is the sewed pleats. It's a brilliant idea. The pockets, it's super cool. I mean,
Why
you
not?
hide them right in there. People don't even know.
sometimes you don't want to wear your sporran, and it might get in the way of your golf swing or whatever. So we'll put some pockets in there. So you put your balls in there, or put your wallet in there, or whatever. But yeah, I don't personally like the pockets on the kilt because I wear a sporran, but
Sure.
to each his own. We're
Yep.
here to help you guys live your best life.
Cool. Very good. Well, your motto is sometimes in like the tags that you throw in there sometimes is about being brave, right? With Sport Kilt.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like you said, it is. It's brave on all fronts. Maybe it's brave to wear the kilt, and maybe what they're going through, they got to be brave. And putting on
Right.
that kilt maybe gives them that inspiration to keep going too.
Absolutely. I think it has magical powers to put it on the kilt. And yeah, hopefully we've inspired thousands of people to live bravely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thanks, James. We appreciate you very much joining the podcast this week. And hopefully people will check out Sport Kilt. They've been doing it forever anyways. Hopefully this, if they haven't heard about you, now they have, and they'll be rocking a Mackenzie Sport Kilt too.
And Clan Mackenzie, happy to outfit you guys. If you would like a sport kilt, you know where to come. Jared, it's been a pleasure getting to know you and chatting about kilts with you. And you've inspired me to take another look at the Mackenzie Weathered and see if that'll be one of our next tartans. Well, let's keep in
Fantastic.
touch.
Sounds good, man. Thanks a lot.
Okay. You're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you for listening to the Clan Mackenzie podcast. To explore more about our history, heritage and ongoing work, visit clanmackenzie.org. Be sure to follow, share and leave a review. Your support helps us continue defending the future by understanding the past.